Welcome to a brand new guide called How to Rank Up If You Are Hard Stuck. My name is Keeoh. I'm a content creator for Cloud9. I'm currently a Mortal 3 in Valorant. Before that, I was a semi-professional Fortnite player, and before that, I was a top 500 Overwatch player. So I have a lot of experience in FPS games. Before we jump into the guide, I want to share with you one of Overwatch's most famous clips, coming from an old buddy of mine, Seagull.
Upstate Minor, $2 is, I'm stuck in high gold, low plat my main. I made a new account which plays 2600. I think I'm worthy of being higher, but no one listens to my positive reinforcement and constructive criticism. What do? The answer to every single donation like this is always the same. 2 words: get good. Let's be real, your team is not the problem for you being low rank, barring very weird ass situations. If you're unlucky and you're actually good, you will climb. This is how it works. I'm sorry to be a dick, but it's actually true.
Now this clip is funny and maybe a little mean, but he's not really wrong. And the goal of this video isn't to just give you tips that are gonna instantly help you rank up, but it's going to give you tips that are going to make you overall a better player, which over time will help you rank up. The goal is to teach you how to get good, not just cheesy ways to get your rank up. This is going to teach you how to genuinely become a better player. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I've been putting out a ton of Valorant content recently, and I'm so glad you guys have been enjoying it. Also, if you have any questions for me after this video is over, you can go to my Twitch stream at twitch.tv/Keeoh. I stream pretty much every day in the evenings PST, and I'd love to see you there. Alright, let's get started. While I talk about all these tips, I'm just gonna let a VOD of a Viper game from a couple days ago play, so if you're wondering what's on the screen, there you go. For all you note takers out there, I have a couple points that I want to get into, and I'd recommend writing these down, just so that you're constantly thinking about them as you're playing games. Point number 1, communication. Now this breaks down into 3 main parts: positive mindset, team morale, and actual communication. For positive mindset, I don't mean to be just like, be happy, have a good time, just have fun. I mean just like having positive energy and bringing people up is always going to have a way better results than trying to look for the flaws in people. So if you're having a bad day or in a bad mood, really try to recognize that and don't let it affect you or your teammates while you're playing the game, because everyone's coming from a different walk of life and you don't necessarily know where anyone else is. So being really positive in your games is really important, not only for yourself, but it's super important for your team. For example, if somebody's in a 1v1 situation and they happen to lose it, instead of yelling at them in anger, just supporting them and being like, hey man, nice job, like, it's all good, it happens to everyone, is so important and encouraging for them. If you're constantly getting berated by your team, I know for me personally, that is going to take a huge toll on how I play. In my opinion, 60 to 90% of how well you play is based on your mental attitude. That's a really high number that I think a lot of people just leave unchecked. And I understand it's really easy to get angry at yourself or at other teammates because you're passionate, you want to win. But in reality, the harder you are on yourself in terms of negativity generally isn't going to lead to a better result versus being encouraging and uplifting to your teammates. I know I already plugged my stream in this video, but if you want an example of a positive mental attitude, please come check out my stream at twitch.tv/Keeoh, because I am a beam of positivity when it comes to playing ranked online. We kind of covered both positive mindset and team morale in that, so let's go ahead and jump to the 3rd point of actual communication. I think this is something that a lot of lower skilled players lack, is just actual communication. Obviously, there are a lot of low elo players that don't have a mic, but for those of you that do, this can really help your team understand what's going on around you. For example, if something is happening at the site you're holding, say you're playing Haven, you're on C site, and you get smoked off by a Brimstone or an Omen. It's a really common play at pretty much every rank. They'll smoke the top of C long. Just communicating that they could be walking up C long and you don't have a visual on C long anymore can be really important for your team to start maybe making a little bit of a shift over there. And just keeping that in mind of where people could be on the map. So just communicating, hey, I'm smoked off C long, they could be pushing up, is a massive communication thing that I don't hear from very many low elo players. Especially if you are playing a Sentinel character like Cypher or Killjoy, if any of your utility goes down, you need to communicate that, because that is really detrimental information that your team needs to have, especially if your utility is watching a flank. Let's go ahead and move on to my 2nd point, analysis. This is something I learned in Overwatch. Every time you lose an engagement, you need to ask yourself 2 simple questions. 1, how did I lose this engagement? And 2, what could I have done differently to win this engagement? Oftentimes, whenever somebody loses an engagement in Valorant, everyone kind of just blames their aim and say, oh, I lost my aim duel. But what realistically could you have done differently to put yourself in a better position to win that aim duel? Could you have been holding a different angle? Maybe playing with your team a little more. Really try to break down and think about the different ways the round could have played out so that you won it. Sometimes you losing an engagement really just comes down to you losing your aim duel. That does happen. You could have been in the best position and you still might lose. There even are some unwinnable situations. However, I think these are so minimal when you compare it to the amount of winnable situations that you can think out inside your head. Really being diligent on this and doing this absolutely every time you lose an engagement, even if it's very quick, you just say, oh, I was in the best spot, I lost my aim duel. That is going to train yourself to be constantly thinking of how you can improve. Which segues into my third point, training your brain. Being very consistent with this technique will absolutely make you a better player. Every time I lose an engagement right now, I'm basically doing a mini VOD review in my head. To the point where I've actually not needed to VOD review at all since learning how to play Valorant, because I've known how I've lost every engagement going into it. The only reason you need to VOD review is to figure out why you lost an engagement. So if you don't know why you lost an engagement, go back, check the VOD, figure it out. Really spend time and dive into these situations, because once you do start figuring out the game sense and working through these problems, everything's gonna kind of start making sense of okay, this is where I need to be, this is where I should move, this is what I'm gonna do, this is how I need to communicate it. All in all, just the more often and more consistent that you're asking yourself these two questions is going to make you a vastly better player. The final point I want to make is work on one thing at a time. This is just super important to not overwhelm yourself or your brain. You really want to hone in on one specific piece of your gameplay that you were lacking and improve it one at a time. So if your aim isn't feeling great, maybe it's time to hit aim labs or play a bunch of deathmatch and just work on your raw aim. If you think your positioning is not great, you need to focus really on that. Don't worry about your aim too much, but really think about where you are in the map while you're playing these games. If you need to work on your utility usage or crosshair placement, all of these things that combine to make you a better player are really important to focus on one at a time. Instead of focusing on, 20 different aspects of your playstyle at the same time, this really allows you to focus in and hone in on the mistakes that you are making in one specific area. And then once you start to see improvements, move on to another area that you think you're lacking. So for example, for me right now, I've been working on my crosshair placement because that is pretty horrible and clearly the worst part of my gameplay. So I'm not really thinking about positioning or utility usage or anything else. I'm just letting my muscle memory and the game sense that I already have play out while I'm focusing on crosshair placement, if that makes sense. If you ask pretty much any pro player from any game, I guarantee you they will agree that this is a very, very good way to improve your gameplay quickly. So now I have 3 clips from my last video that I just want to break down and kind of walk you guys through the thought process I'm going through while I'm playing these games out. So let's jump right into the first clip. Again, these are all just from my most recent video. I just grabbed them because I thought they'd be good examples. Alright, so right here I'm in a 2v4 situation. So generally you might want to save on this round, but it's 8 to 9, so every round is really important right here. So if we can pull something off, we could definitely change the tide of this game.
Phoenix's showers.
Alright. So once I got that pick, which obviously was just good crosshair placement, he swung me because I just thought he was going to push aggressively. Now that it's a 2v3, this situation becomes significantly more winnable. At this point, we should just throw saving out the window and we need to go for something here. So I'm full committed and we're going to put my ultimate down. So I clear the close right corner. I put my ultimate down here. Now, quickly take note of where they need to be if they don't want to be detained. So they need to either push up into A short, get into bench outside of showers, or inside of showers. They could technically get into this little spot on the side corner, but that's just a really stupid place to be, so nobody's ever going to be there. So I walk through here, I'm going to clear the left corner. I see a shock dart land, so that basically tells me that there's probably nobody holding this back site if they're shock darting already. Based on that information, I'm going to assume that somebody is probably holding Keeoh. Maybe 1 or 2 people, but there's probably somebody around that angle. And most likely the other person, if they planted default, is going to be towards showers, just because that's a good crossfire if the bomb is planted right here, if that makes sense. What I'm going to do here
They're gonna play off that showers.
is I'll place my turret on top of the truck right here. And I place it on the right side of the truck here, if you see. This is on purpose because I don't want it to clear the close angle on U-Haul, but I want it to catch them when they're trying to leave my ultimate right here, if that makes sense. So the ultimate goal of this turret is to actually just hit them so that they slow down, because if you're hitting this game, you get put into hit stun and it slows your movement down. And as you see, this is going to work out really well in my favor here. So I'm going to go ahead and clear U-Haul as I push up. The turret is hitting the guy that's leaving. He has to leave because otherwise he's going to get detained by my ultimate. So he's caught off guard by my little turret, which is ridiculous. That's a free ability you have every game, every round. And then the other guy is also caught by my turret, trying to leave my ultimate. I've forced him into a situation that he pretty much can't win, which is really cool and a super awesome thing that I love about Killjoy. So I get the kill on him. Obviously get flashed from showers. We know exactly where the last guy is. Hold it. So I calmed right there for my team to hold it. Unfortunately, he played a little bit more of an aggressive angle. He should have been on this side of the truck with me, holding a little bit passive angle so that he has to really peek in order to see if I'm on the bomb. But after my teammate goes down, I recognize that he's probably going to swing me because he has no reason to believe that I'm not going to get off the bomb. So what I'm going to do in this situation is I'm going to go ahead and push up to right here so that I'm going to peek him, because he's going to be trying to peek me from right here because he wants to see the bomb defuse if I'm still on the bomb. So most likely he's going to jiggle peek me just like really quickly. And instead, I'm going to move up to a better position so that I can catch him off guard while he's jiggle peeking me. And you'll see this play out right here.
Last player standing.
So I push up to the corner, he jiggle peeks me, I catch him off guard, and get 4 kills to win the round. All right, here is another clip. So my teammate over here disconnected from the game, and I am in a 1v2 situation. We have already planted the bomb. I've already thrown 1 molly using this lineup, which is probably one of the best lineups in the game.
Turret's destroyed.
So I throw the second molly, and I'm pushing up. I do take a little bit of a risk here because I'm peeking this side of U-Haul, so I'm kind of just gambling that nobody is going to hard peek me there because they actually have 0 information as to where I am on the map. I could be in it short, I could be up towards showers, I could even be behind them, but they probably already cleared that. They have very little information as to where I am. So luckily, nobody was peeking from U-Haul, but I do switch my crosshair placement right over here, even though it's a little low and bad crosshair placement, right after I activated the molly right here. So I heard him defuse there, but there's no reason for me to peek because I heard the sound cue of my molly go off, and if they committed to sticking the bomb, one of them would have died. He probably already took a large chunk of damage. There's no reason for me to peek here whatsoever. So I'm gonna wait it out. I hear the sound cue for the next one, and there's not a ton of time left, so he's probably going to stick it. So I'm gonna go ahead and swing aggressively here. I see the raise pushed up right here. Get really lucky with that gunfight. He's facing towards showers. And that is a nice round. But yeah, that wasn't like a crazy mechanically intensive round win. That allowed me to win the round just because of the information I had and the information they didn't have. Just to show that this applies to pretty much any character, I'm gonna explain my thought process while I'm playing Viper here. And basically, when you're playing any character, just think about the ways that you're using your utility. Is it going to hurt your team? Is it going to help your team? What exactly does your utility do? Don't just, if you're playing Raze, don't just throw a grenade because you can throw a grenade. Really think about why you're using that piece of utility, what it's accomplishing, and if you could use it anywhere else more effectively. So I got a kill on a Phoenix, which was kind of lucky because I headshot him through the smoke. But I put my wall up as I'm pushing here. As you guys can see, I put my wall up here. So this wall is cutting off sight. Got the kill on the Jet. Luckily, breach tagged Jet as well, and she died to fall damage. And now I put my wall up as I'm pushing in here because right here is where we're gonna plant the bomb. This little corner of the site here is where we can plant. I've carved out this section with my wall just so that we can get the plant off and we don't really have to push super aggressively into sight because playing back here is way safer for our team. So what I do is I push up with the breach here to make sure that he's not gonna get swung quickly while he plants. I'm gonna throw my, whatever that grenade thing is called, on the bomb for future use. So we're just hanging out here. We have a man advantage here, so we don't need to get super aggressive. There's no reason to. So I noticed that all 3 of us on the map were watching all towards B site. Isn't necessarily bad because we do have a Phoenix in mid, but that doesn't mean we can't get flanked from A site. So I calm for our breach, who is just sitting there holding his ultimate out, to start watching the flank instead. Right here, as you can see, there are only 3 people alive. We have 3 question marks on the map. We don't need to be holding flank anymore, which is good information that the Omen got, even though he died.
I'm holding it.
So we heard the bomb tap. As you guys heard, I activated my poison orb. I'm gonna go ahead and swing. Our breach uses his ultimate. We heard the Sage res. That Jet died farther back in sight because we heard her dash off and die to fall damage. We know that. But I'm gonna go ahead and throw a molly on the bomb just to stall for a little bit longer. And then, again, just playing passive. The Sage swings me. I win that engagement. And then the Jet jumps right into my crosshair for a solid ace. That's about it for this video, but I want to leave you with one little piece of advice. There's a big difference between playing the game and playing the game with a mindset to get better. I've heard people play, 6 to 8 hours a day and they see 0 improvement. And I've seen people that play for 2 to 4 hours a day and see significantly more improvement. That's because those people are playing with the mindset to get better. They're analyzing every time they lose an engagement. They're having a positive mental attitude, a positive mindset. They're bringing their teammates up instead of bringing them down. And that's how they're going up in rank faster. Let me know if these tips help you get unhardstuck in whatever rank you are in. Again, if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I've been posting a ton of Valorant content recently, and I've been super stoked with how it's been going. Again, if you want to catch me live, I stream at twitch.tv/Keeoh pretty much every day in the evenings PST. The link will be in the description, and I'd love to see you there. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.